I have made the Bhagavad Gita as the main source of my inspiration and guide for the purpose of scientific investigations and formation of my theories. If someone feels that he has never made a mistake in his life, it only means that he has never tried anything new in his life. Learning is experience. Everything else is just information. The religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It should transcend a personal God and avoid dogmas and theology. Covering both the natural and the spiritual, it should be based on a religious sense arising from the experience of all things, natural and spiritual, as a meaningful unity. Buddhism answers this description. People like us, who believe in physics, know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. At least once a day, allow yourself the freedom to think and dream for yourself. The press, which is mostly controlled by vested interests, has an excessive influence on public opinion. There is only one road to human greatness, through the school of hard knocks. I never made one of my discoveries through the process of rational thinking. I cannot accept any concept of God based on the fear of life or the fear of death, or blind faith. I cannot prove to you that there is no personal God, but if I were to speak of him I would be a liar. It may be possible to fight intolerance, stupidity, and fanaticism separately, but when they come together there is no hope. One should not pursue goals that are easily achieved. One must develop an instinct for what one can just barely achieve through one's greatest efforts. Concerning matter, we have been all wrong. What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. Never memorize what you can look up in a book. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Never give up on what you really want to do. The person with big dreams is more powerful than one with all the facts. Everything is determined, the beginning as well as the end, by forces over which we have no control. It is determined for the insect, as well as for the star. Human beings, vegetables, or cosmic dust, we all dance to a mysterious tune, intoned in the distance by an invisible piper. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. I like to experience the universe as one harmonious whole. Every cell has life. Matter, too, has life. It is energy solidified. Our bodies are like prisons, and I look forward to be free, but I don't speculate on what will happen to me. I live here now, and my responsibility is in this world now. Know where to find the information and how to use it. That's the secret of success. It is entirely possible that behind the perception of our senses, worlds are hidden of which we are unaware. Bureaucracy is the death of all sound work. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. The only justifiable purpose of political institutions is to ensure the unhindered development of the individual. Anyone who thinks science is trying to make human life easier or more pleasant is utterly mistaken. Life is a preparation for the future, and the best preparation for the future is to live as if there were none. I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he is the garbage man or the president of the university. The minority, the ruling class at present, has the schools and press, usually the church as well, under its thumb. This enables it to organize and sway the emotions of the masses, and make its tool of them. Don't think about why you question, simply don't stop questioning. Don't worry about what you can't answer, and don't try to explain what you can't know. Curiosity is its own reason. Aren't you in awe when you contemplate the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure behind reality? And this is the miracle of the human mind, to use its constructions, concepts, and formulas as tools to explain what man sees, feels and touches. Try to comprehend a little more each day. Have holy curiosity. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Outer changes always begin with an inner change of attitude. If A is a success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, Y is play, And Z is keeping your mouth shut. When I have 1 week to solve a seemingly impossible problem, I spend 6 days defining the problem. Then, the solution becomes obvious. The main task of the spirit is to free man from his ego. Gravitation cannot be held responsible for people falling in love. How on earth can you explain in terms of chemistry and physics so important a biological phenomenon as first love? Put your hand on a stove for a minute and it seems like an hour. Sit with that special girl for an hour and it seems like a minute. That's relativity. Most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist. They are wrong. It is character. There is a driving force more powerful than steam, electricity and nuclear power, the will. Philosophy is empty if it isn't based on science. Science discovers, philosophy interprets. Matter is energy, energy is light, we are all light beings. I said before, the most beautiful and most profound religious emotion that we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. And this mysticality is the power of all true science. If there is any such concept as a God, it is a subtle spirit, not an image of a man that so many have fixed in their minds. In essence, my religion consists of a humble admiration for this illimitable superior spirit that reveals itself in the slight details that we are able to perceive with our frail and feeble minds. I must be willing to give up what I am in order to become what I will be. Force always attracts men of low morality. The economic anarchy of capitalist society as it exists today is, in my opinion, the real source of evil. I am happy because I want nothing from anyone. I do not care for money. Decorations, titles or distinctions mean nothing to me. I do not crave praise. The only thing that gives me pleasure, apart from my work, my violin and my sailboat, is the appreciation of my fellow workers. Many of the things you can count, don't count. Many of the things you can't count, really count. It would be foolish to despise tradition. But with our growing self-consciousness and increasing intelligence we must begin to control tradition and assume a critical attitude toward it, if human relations are ever to change for the better. I'd rather be an optimist and a fool than a pessimist and right. When the solution is simple, God is answering. Scientific research can reduce superstition by encouraging people to think and view things in terms of cause and effect. Try not to become a man of success, but a man of value. Look around at how people want to get more out of life than they put in. A man of value will give more than he receives. Be creative, but make sure that what you create is not a curse for mankind. I have not eaten enough of the tree of knowledge, though in my profession I am obligated to feed on it regularly. The same thinking that has led you to where you are is not going to lead you to where you want to go. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. You cannot subjugate a nation forcibly unless you wipe out every man, woman, and child. Unless you wish to use such drastic measures, you must find a way of settling your disputes without resort to arms. Student is not a container you have to fill but a torch you have to light up. The world is in greater peril from those who tolerate or encourage evil than from those who actually commit it. The real problem is in the hearts and minds of men. It is not a problem of physics but of ethics. It is easier to denature plutonium than to denature the evil spirit of man. 3 rules of work: out of clutter find simplicity. From discord find harmony. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. How many people are trapped in their everyday habits, part numb, part frightened, part indifferent? To have a better life we must keep choosing how we are living. Time is not at all what it seems. It does not flow in only one direction, and the future exists simultaneously with the past. We can't solve today's problems with the mentality that created them. Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in the silence, and the truth comes to me. When you sit with a nice girl for 2 hours, it seems like 2 minutes. When you sit on a hot stove for 2 minutes, it seems like 2 hours. That's relativity. School failed me, and I failed the school. It bored me. The teachers behaved like Feldwebel, sergeants. I wanted to learn what I wanted to know, but they wanted me to learn for the exam. What I hated most was the competitive system there, and especially sports. Because of this, I wasn't worth anything, and several times they suggested I leave. Adversity introduces a man to himself. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted in important affairs. Live with purpose. Don't let people or things around you get you down. A great thought begins by seeing something differently, with a shift of the mind's eye. Don't dream of being a good person. Be a human being is valuable and gives value to life. I refuse to engage in an intellectual battle with an unarmed man. A large part of our attitude toward things is conditioned by opinions and emotions which we unconsciously absorb as children from our environment. In other words, it is tradition, besides inherited aptitudes and qualities, which makes us what we are. We but rarely reflect how relatively small as compared with the powerful influence of tradition is the influence of our conscious thought upon our conduct and convictions. I have only 2 rules which I regard as principles of conduct. The first is, have no rules. The second is, be independent of the opinion of others. Hitler appeared, a man with limited intellectual abilities and unfit for any useful work, bursting with envy and bitterness against all whom circumstance and nature had favored over him. In his desperate ambition for power he discovered that his speeches, confused and pervaded with hate as they were, received wild acclaim by those whose situation and orientation resembled his own. He picked up this human flotsam on the streets and in the taverns and organized them around himself. This is the way he launched his political career. You do not really understand something unless you can explain it to your grandmother. Compassionate people are geniuses in the art of living, more necessary to the dignity, security, and joy of humanity than the discoverers of knowledge. The true definition of madness is repeating the same action, over and over, hoping for a different result. The only mistake in life is the lesson not learned. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays. The only thing we can be certain of in this life is that we can be certain of nothing. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Evil does not exist, sir, or at least it does not exist unto itself. Evil is simply the absence of God. It is just like darkness and cold, a word that man has created to describe the absence of God. God did not create evil. Evil is not like faith, or love that exists just as does light and heat. Evil is the result of what happens when man does not have God's love present in his heart. It's like the cold that comes when there is no heat or the darkness that comes when there is no light. Most people see what is, and never see what can be. You never fail until you stop trying. Stupidity is a personal achievement which transcends national boundaries. Don't let your brain interfere with your heart. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. If at first the idea is not absurd, then there is no hope for it. I always found I was in the best of company, alone. The woman who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before. If I had only 1 hour to save the world, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem, and only 5 minutes finding the solution. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Peace cannot be kept by force, it can only be achieved by understanding. Never do anything against conscience even if the state demands it. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. The stupid are invincible. Success equals 1 part work plus 1 part play plus 1 part keep your mouth shut. The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. Be kind to people who are different from you. I came to America because of the great freedom which I heard existed in this country. I made a mistake in selecting America as a land of freedom, a mistake I cannot repair in the balance of my lifetime. The leader is one who, out of the clutter, brings simplicity. Out of discord, harmony. And out of difficulty, opportunity. I love humanity but I hate humans. I am neither especially clever nor especially gifted. I am only very, very curious. Do you believe in miracles? Well, you should. In fact, Life itself is a big miracle. There are so many things that are beyond our understanding. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle. You can live as if everything is a miracle. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. When we first got married, we made a pact. It was this: in our life together, it was decided I would make all of the big decisions and my wife would make all of the little decisions. For 50 years, we have held true to that agreement. I believe that is the reason for the success in our marriage. However, the strange thing is that in 50 years, there hasn't been one big decision. Never underestimate your own ignorance. The best design is the simplest one that works. Make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. Live life to the fullest. You have to color outside the lines once in a while if you want to make your life a masterpiece. Laugh some every day. Keep growing, keep dreaming, keep following your heart. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Do not grow old, no matter how long you live. Never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born. If the bee disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would have only 4 years of life left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more man. Intelligence is not the ability to store information, but to know where to find it. God reveals himself in the orderly harmony of what exists. The individual who has experienced solitude will not easily become a victim of mass suggestion. If you can't explain what you are doing to a 9-year-old, then either you still don't understand it very well, or it's not all that worthwhile in the first place. I'm more interested in the future than in the past, because the future is where I intend to live. When you trip over love, it is easy to get up. But when you fall in love, it is impossible to stand again. There is, however, one other human right which is infrequently mentioned but which seems to be destined to become very important. This is the right, or the duty, of the individual to abstain from cooperating in activities which he considers wrong or pernicious. Only two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the former. Be a loner. That gives you time to wonder, to search for the truth. Have holy curiosity. Make your life worth living. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Earth is the insane asylum of the universe. Learning is the beginning of wealth. Searching and learning is where the miracle process all begins. The great breakthrough in your life comes when you realize that you can learn anything you need to learn to accomplish any goal that you set for yourself. This means there are no limits on what you can be, have or do. Women always worry about things that men forget. Men always worry about things women remember. The height of stupidity is most clearly demonstrated by the individual who ridicules something he knows nothing about. Condemnation before investigation is the highest form of ignorance. You can't use an old map to explore a new world. Creativity is seeing what others see and thinking what no one else has ever thought. If you want different results, do not do the same things. I once thought that if I could ask God one question, I would ask how the universe began, because once I knew that, all the rest is simply equations. But as I got older, I became less concerned with how the universe began. Rather, I would want to know why he started the universe. For once I knew that answer, then I would know the purpose of my own life. Mankind invented the atomic bomb, but no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap. Genius is 1% talent and 99% hard work. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge but imagination. The world we have created is a product of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. If we want to change the world, we have to change our thinking. No problem can be solved from the same consciousness that created it. We must learn to see the world anew. Any fool can know. The point is to understand. The most valuable thing a teacher can impart to children is not knowledge and understanding per se, but a longing for knowledge and understanding, and an appreciation for intellectual values, whether they be artistic, scientific, or moral. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. Most teachers waste their time by asking questions that are intended to discover what a pupil does not know, whereas the true art of questioning is to discover what the pupil does know or is capable of knowing. Once you stop learning, you start dying. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. Great spirits have always encountered opposition from mediocre minds. The mediocre mind is incapable of understanding the man who refuses to bow blindly to conventional prejudices and chooses instead to express his opinions courageously and honestly. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it. 3 great forces rule the world: stupidity, fear and greed. Manager solves problems, leader prevents them. In the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. Success comes from curiosity, concentration, perseverance and self-criticism. Don't listen to their words, fix your attention on their deeds. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination is the language of the soul. Pay attention to your imagination and you will discover all you need to be fulfilled. Experience is knowledge. All the rest is information. Artificial intelligence is no match for natural stupidity. The ideas that have lighted my way have been kindness, beauty and truth. I believe we are here to do good. It is the responsibility of every human being to aspire to do something worthwhile, to make the world a better place than the one we found. I don't need to know everything, I just need to know where to find it, when I need it. The value of a college education is not the learning of many facts but the training of the mind to think. All men are ignorant, just in different fields. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Just because you believe in something does not mean that it is true. Any government is evil if it carries within it the tendency to deteriorate into tyranny. The danger of such deterioration is more acute in a country in which the government has authority not only over the armed forces but also over every channel of education and information. Thinking is hard work, that's why so few do it. We cannot get to where we dream of being tomorrow unless we change our thinking today. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. Men marry women with the hope they will never change. Women marry men with the hope they will change. Invariably they are both disappointed. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or objects. If one day you have to choose between the world and love, remember this: if you choose the world you'll be left without love. But if you choose love, with it you will conquer the world. Persistence is the most powerful force on earth. It can move mountains. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Don't wait for miracles. Your whole life is a miracle. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feeling as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Genius is making complex ideas simple, not making simple ideas complex. Knowledge and ego are directly related. The less knowledge, the greater the ego. Logic can take you from point A to point B. Imagination can take you wherever you want. A ship is always safe at the shore, but that is not what it is built for. There comes a point in your life when you need to stop reading other people's books and write your own. The state is made for man, not man for the state. That is to say, the state should be our servant and not we its slaves. Everyone knew it was impossible, until a fool who didn't know came along and did it. Be a voice, not an echo. Weak people revenge. Strong people forgive. Intelligent people ignore. We are slowed down sound and light waves, a walking bundle of frequencies tuned into the cosmos. We are souls dressed up in sacred biochemical garments, and our bodies are the instruments through which our souls play their music. The difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has its limits. What you can't imagine, you can't discover. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. The only thing more dangerous than ignorance is arrogance. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Information is not knowledge. The only source of knowledge is experience. You need experience to gain wisdom. Creativity is intelligence having fun. God did not create evil. Just as darkness is the absence of light, evil is the absence of God. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Don't listen to the person who has the answers. Listen to the person who has the questions. Knowledge is realizing that the street is one way. Wisdom is looking in both directions anyway. Everything that exists in your life does so because of two things: something you did or something you didn't do. In theory and practice are the same. In practice, they are not. Failure is success in progress. There is no vaccine against stupidity. The more I study science, the more I believe in God. Be a loner. That gives you time to wonder.